Hi everyone, welcome to the Microsoft Expert Community Sessions by Saracen. These sessions are dedicated to bringing you the best Microsoft experts to help educate and inspire you to get the most out of Microsoft technologies. We try to cover the most relevant topics and best practices of the day from AI, administration, governance, Microsoft 365, and everything in between. So if you have any suggestions for future topics, then please let us know. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and keep up to date with the most relevant content. My name is Paul Sutton, and I'm part of the Saracen team. For those who don't know Saracen, we build a Microsoft-leading Microsoft 365-based service desk product that runs natively in Microsoft Teams. So feel free to learn more at saracen.com and look for our to get product. So joining me today is Stoyan Chalakov, a Microsoft MVP. Stoyan during the day is consultant partner at Fun IT Consulting in Switzerland, specializing in cloud and data center management. Stoyan is a very experienced across many Microsoft technologies, including System Center, Hyper-V, Office 365, Azure, and Active Directory, to name a few. And for those eagle-eyed listeners will know, Stoyan has presented before in these sessions. So good to have you back, sir. We really appreciate your time. And then today, you're presenting about how to enhance your coding skills with GitHub Copilot. And then I believe today you're covering how that all integrates with IDEs, speeding up development, improve your coding through demos, setup tips, and best practices. So without further ado, I will pass this over to you, Stoyan, and thank you again.
Thank you, Paul. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Microsoft Expert Community Sessions. I'm really excited to spend the next 40 minutes with you exploring how GitHub Copilot can greatly enhance your day-to-day coding. Before we dive in, I want to extend a special thank you to Saracen for having me on the session. I encourage you all to visit their website and check out their innovative products. They're doing fantastic work in the IT service management space. Thanks for taking the time, and let's dive right in. My name is Stoyan. I'm a senior principal consultant and partner at Fun IT Consulting. We are a Swiss-based consulting company, and I'm also a 9-time Microsoft Cloud and Data Center MVP, hopefully this year 10-time. My primary focus lies in private and hybrid cloud management, as Paul already mentioned, involving a range of technologies such as System Center, Microsoft Azure, Office 365, to name a few. Today's session is very practical. We will talk what Copilot is, what it is genuinely good at, what it isn't, and how you can start using it to save time while improving quality. If you'd like to follow up later, you can find me on my blog and also on X as Stoyan Chalakov. So here is the plan for today. We'll define what GitHub Copilot is, look at the advantages, team actually experience using GitHub Copilot, peek behind the curtains at how it works, and also walk through the basic features and daily developer wins. We also cover plans and licensing, so you know what's available, and we'll be going over some limitations and the security and compliance stuff regarding Copilot. There is also a dedicated 10-minute demo later in the session. I hope you enjoy it. So first thing first, let's start with some fun. So here's the secret. If you are worried about AI taking your job, just make sure you're the one using AI to do your job better. It's like beating the robots in their own game. And meanwhile, somewhere in Hollywood, John Connor is watching us all become partners or friends with AI, and he's maybe thinking that was not in the script. So before AI, we spent hours and hours coding and a few more hours debugging. And after AI, well, the code now writes itself in 5 minutes, but now we get to spend all day figuring out what it actually does. And last but not least, Copilot wrote the penguin here. I brought the elephant. and the reviewer just asked me why both are glued together. This is funny, but sometimes it could be a reality when you're doing coding with GitHub Copilot. And because of this, we will see later in the session how we can eliminate those gaps. So let's see what actually GitHub Copilot is. So GitHub Copilot is an AI-powered coding assistant developed by GitHub and OpenAI. It acts as your pair programmer. It offers real-time suggestions for code. It offers explanations and even fixes as you work. You can integrate it seamlessly into many of the popular IDEs like Visual Studio Code, JetBrains tools, NeoVim, etc., etc. And what makes it powerful is that it's powered by multiple model providers, including GitHub's own model, also OpenAI, Microsoft, Anthropic, and of course, Google. Millions of developers all over the world are already using it, reporting up to 55% faster coding times, which actually boosts both productivity and job satisfaction. In short, it's a great tool that keeps you code smarter, not harder. Now let's see what are advantages of GitHub Copilot. It offers several key benefits that can really elevate your development workflow. So first, it boosts productivity by enabling up to 55%, as we already mentioned, faster coding. It handles boilerplate and repetitive tasks, freeing you up for more creative and problem-solving stuff. It improves code quality with real-time syntax hints and also optimizations, reducing errors and helping maintain higher standards. Third, it enhances learning by exposing you to new languages, frameworks, and best practices through contextual suggestions. Fourth, it increases developer satisfaction by building confidence, lowering stress, and making the job more enjoyable by automating banal tasks. Who wouldn't want to have that? And finally, it proves seamless integration and customization, supporting various IDEs, like we already mentioned, almost all available languages and tailored to your specific needs. Let's peek behind the curtains at how GitHub Copilot actually works. It starts with its training source, drawing from vast amounts of public code and text available on the internet to learn patterns and also best practices. When you're in your editor, it takes the input from your private code context, including open files and your cursor position. Then the context is sent to the core service, which you see here in the middle, labeled GitHub Copilot service, where the AI processes it to generate initial suggestions for your code. Then there is a step to ensure the suggestions are really relevant, secure, and accurate. And finally, the refined code completions are delivered back to your editor. So back where the whole thing started, the process happens in real time, making it feel almost like magic, but it's all powered by sophisticated AI under the hood. So it will be interesting to see what the actual integrations are of GitHub Copilot. It's actually one of its strengths are the wide range of integrations. They are allowing you to keep flying with your favorite editor. It works seamlessly with Visual Studio Code. It works with GitHub Copilot code spaces and even the Copilot CLI for terminal use. On Windows, it's integrated with Visual Studio, JetBrains. Users can use it also. It supports their full suite of IDEs, and it's also available for NeoVim, Xcode, and Eclipse. There are also many other integrations which are interesting here, so you won't be disappointed no matter which IDE you're using in your daily job. The flexibility, of course, means that you can incorporate Copilot into your existing workflow without any major disruptions whatsoever. Next, we'll move to some features of GitHub Copilot, which every beginner should know. If you're new to GitHub Copilot, here are the basic stuff you should know about. So first, inline suggestions. They provide predictive completions and multi-line snippets that appear as ghost text while you type. Then there's the Copilot chat, where you can ask questions in natural language, reference specific files, or even use different tags for broader context. Copilot edits allow for multiple file edits and refactors based on a single prompt. Very interesting. And for pull requests, it offers the PR summaries that auto-summarize changes and highlight focus areas. Code review uses AI to suggest improvements on diffs, spotting bugs, and also offering enhancements. Finally, the Copilot CLI acts as an agentic terminal that can edit files and also run commands directly. So these are the features, and they're designed to make your coding experience more intuitive and efficient from day one and from the start of its usage. Let's talk about some daily wins that developer experience with GitHub Copilot. So it helps jumpstart templates by generating stub functions, loops, and tests as you type, so you can skip the whole copy-paste effort. It's like a book radar, spotting typos, null references, and also bad patterns before you even run the code, which automatically, of course, means fewer debug cycles. For API discovery, if you're working with an unknown library, for example, just start typing and it provides the correct call along with an example in ghost text. This is something we'll see later in the demo. Refactoring with GitHub Copilot happens in seconds. Just highlight the block, use the edit command, and get a cleaner, faster, safer rewrite. Ultimately, that enables the mundane, so you can concentrate on designing architecture and solving the hard problems and not the boring stuff. Next, let's review the plans and the licensing options for GitHub Copilot as of November 2025. So there is a free plan at $0, which allows up to 2,000 completions and around 50 premium requests per month. It's a great plan for trying out chat and completions. The Pro plan is around $10 per month or $100 per year, offering unlimited completions and also around 300 premium requests, plus coding agents and access to more models. A great option and a great offer in general. The Pro Plus steps up to $39 per month or $390 per year with unlimited completions, 1,500 premium requests, all models, and of course priority access. And for teams, the business plan is around $19 per user per month, including higher limits than the Pro model along with organizational controls and policies, which is something very important for bigger organizations. Enterprise is around $39 per month per user with the highest tiers, advanced features, and admin tools. You can find more details on GitHub documentation at the link provided. Choose the plan that fits your needs and scale best. And of course, a very important topic that we cannot leave out of the discussion is security and compliance. Those two are top priorities with GitHub Copilot, especially for enterprise users. So it offers enterprise-grade security with SOC 2 Type 1 and ISO certifications for the business and enterprise plans. Also, the privacy controls, it offers content exclusion, allowing you to exclude sensitive files from suggestions. Also, organization-wide policies for data protection. Data handling ensures that your prompts and code aren't used for model training. Everything is processed securely in Azure, encrypted in transit, and also at rest. However, of course, there are risks to be aware of, so you should always review generated code for vulnerabilities. You should never paste secrets or credentials into your editor, and of course, maintain human oversight. So now we'll look at some of those basic features. I'll try to demonstrate the most important stuff within 10 minutes, and let's see how this goes. So first things first, what you see here currently is my Visual Studio Code. This is the editor of my choice. And what I want to show you first are the extensions here. So what you see is that I have altogether 3 extensions. So this is the GitHub Copilot here. Of course, here in the main area, you can enable or disable, of course, uninstall the extension. You can also play with the settings here. And we have 2 more extensions for GitHub Copilot Chat. And we have also an extension for GitHub Copilot code spaces. So let's do a simple demo here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a basic file, an empty file, and I'll demonstrate the whole thing using PowerShell. I'm really not a developer, so I will be showing you features that I also use when I do coding. Let's start. So I'll create just a new file here, and I will name it Cybersecurity Demo GitHub Copilot. And then let me press enter, and then I'll save it as a .ps1 file, so meaning this is a PowerShell file. And right away you see that GitHub Copilot is prepared here to generate code or to give me tips. Let's do a very simple first exercise, and this would be, I'm going to copy a comment here of a function I want to create, and it's just a comment as I will describe it in the documentation, for example. So what I want to do here is create a function that is called getLargeFiles, that accepts path, string, minimum size, stuff like this. Sorry, the function should validate the path and do all the stuff which is described here. And right away, you saw that something appeared on my IDE, and this is the ghost text we mentioned previously. What you see here now is the Copilot suggestion for me on how this function should be built. Just imagine, I don't have really developer skills. I might be new to PowerShell, but this guy offers me a complete function. And what I can do now here from this step is I can either start accepting GitHub Copilot's suggestion one by one. For example, I just press Control and the arrow, and then I'll start, like you see, making a real text from the gold text, meaning that I'm accepting the suggestions of GitHub Copilot. Or I just can press the tab, and then it will create the whole function for me. Like you see, I just described here with the text what I want to achieve, and GitHub Copilot generated the whole function for me. So it's really so easy to use, so intuitive. And what I want to show you now is, for example, how the chat function or the query function works here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to highlight a certain part of this function, and I want to click here and I will say modify. So I'll just improvise here and I'll ask him, please rewrite this function to achieve the same result. And let's see what happens. And then I'm pressing enter. And now GitHub Copilot starts thinking for a while. And in just a few seconds, we will see the suggestion of the rewritten function or the rewritten area of the code which we have selected on the screen. So what is currently going on is what we described in the slides behind the scenes, and you see currently that GitHub Copilot offers me a solution, and what I can do now is I can, for example, accept the whole solution here, or I can undo this change, like you see here. So it marks my current function. So it's really very easy to work with. So I'll accept that, and we will now do another test. So what I'm going to do now is really start all over with this prompt, and I will ask GitHub Copilot to again generate me the function. I will accept the function, and this time I will do the following. I will select the whole function, and I will ask GitHub Copilot to generate the documentation for me. So I'll just create comment-based help for get large file with synopsis, description, parameters, and stuff like this. And I'll press enter. So what I'm demonstrating you right now is the ability of GitHub Copilot to document your code. So I have a function. It might be that I don't know how it exactly works. So currently, GitHub Copilot is generating the documentation for this particular function. And just in a couple of seconds, we will see it will start generating a nice text to it. And this will happen right away. So you see the loading pane here, applying edits. And now you see the suggestion of GitHub Copilot. So it will replace the part which is marked here in red with the green part according to the initial task. So I'll accept that. And you see I have a great documentation of what my function exactly does. So very easy to work with, very intuitive. You can at any time call with Control and E the chat function of the, sorry, I need to accept that first, of course, and that also. And I can at any time keep or undo the changes. What I want to show you also is how easy it is to switch between the models. So you see in this text field that I have here the GPT-5 mini model. I can open this up and I can pick one of the models which are available here. As you see, I have the GPT stuff, I have the Claude, Raptor, etc., etc. So you have a range of models which you can use for your coding assistance. So we covered documentation, we covered basic code generation. We can also just use different parts of the code and ask GitHub Copilot about something. Maybe I will demo, for example, a short renaming of this line. So what I ask GitHub Copilot to do is please rename the variable to files demo. Let's see if it will do this. I haven't tested this. It's really currently something which I'm testing out live. So we'll see if the variable will be renamed here. No, it wasn't very happy. If I tried this way, maybe. If I ask it, let me try again. So what I used here now is the code review function. So it gives me, I selected the variable and I ask him to review, and it can provide me to suggested changes if my code isn't optimized currently. So those are some of the many features, basic features, which we just talked about. And let's also continue our presentation and see some interesting numbers here. So the numbers I'm going to present you are from recent studies, and the goal of them is to highlight the impact of GitHub Copilot. So these are fresh AI boosts sourced from 2025 surveys, and just take into consideration that those numbers are evolving very fast, as AI is also evolving very fast. So according to Stack Overflow developer survey 2025, 69% of the developers said that AI agents like Copilot boosted their output. The same survey, along with the Zoom Info study from 2025, report that 70% of the users are spending less time on development tasks, and with an average of 20% reduction. Stack Overflow and Zoom Info also know that 51% of the products use AI tools daily. And again, from Second Silent Copilot stats 2025, 90% view more fulfilled, and 95% enjoy coding more. An Accenture and GitHub study from 2024 shows around 84% more successful builds. This is really a very impressive number. And 25% enjoy coding more as per Second Silent. So these stats demonstrate the real world benefits and why Copilot is becoming indispensable nowadays. So the next slide, we will cover some installation and setup steps. So if you're ready to get started, here is how to install and set up GitHub Copilot. First, the prerequisites. So what you need is a GitHub account, which you can create at github.com. You have to subscribe to Copilot and you can start with the free plan at $0 for limited access. And of course, you can afterwards upgrade to Pro or even Pro Plus if needed. For Visual Studio Code as an example, you can install the extension by opening Visual Studio Code, going to extensions, something which I showed you a couple of minutes ago. You can search for GitHub Copilot there and just install it along the GitHub Copilot chat extension. Then you need to sign in by clicking on the GitHub icon in the activity bar, selecting sign in with GitHub and authorize in your browser. To enable and use it, open a code file, type or add a comment like we did in the demo, sort array function or generate function, and accept the suggestions with the tab. Open chat with Control Shift and G for questions if you want to ask questions. And of course, when you start, test it with simple code in supported languages like Python, JavaScript, C# or many of the others. It's really straightforward and very quick to set it up. And the next, for beginners, here are some tips and best practices to make the most of GitHub Copilot. So start small by tackling simple tasks like boilerplate code or just small stuff, just to build your confidence while working with GitHub Copilot. Important, use clear prompts with descriptive comments or function names to get better suggestions. So the more you perfect this, the better your code will be. Of course, always review the code, something very important. Check, test, and verify before committing. You can learn actively by studying the suggestions to pick up new patterns and best practices. A good example during the demo was to generate a function. If you're not familiar how to build it yourself, this can teach you, so you can learn from that. Of course, you need to stay secure. You need to avoid pasting secrets and, of course, review your code for vulnerabilities. And if you get stuck, use the Copilot chat. There is plenty of official documentation out there or communities for help. And these practices will help you integrate GitHub Copilot effectively into your workflow. So while GitHub Copilot is powerful, it's important to acknowledge some limitations. It is not always correct. Suggestions might compile, but could be logically wrong or inefficient, so always review them carefully. It depends heavily on the context, meaning it performs best with open files and well-structured code, but struggles sometimes with sparse or legacy code bases. On security and compliance, it may suggest patterns that don't align with your organization's standards, like poor secrets handling or error control. So guardrails and policies are essential here. It has limited domain knowledge for very product-specific company, internal, or niche frameworks, which can lead to hallucinated APIs. So if you're coding an application which you use only in your organization, and it might generate hallucinated code, so which is not working indeed. This is something which is known and you cannot avoid because it draws all information from public code spaces. So you need to be really careful when doing this. And it really accelerates implementation, but don't forget that it does not replace human tasks like code architecture, threat modeling, or code review. And finally, costs and the rate limits apply with premium models and agentic actions bound to your plan. So heavy use might hit monthly or your organizational limits. So you need to be careful, of course, when talking or when calculating the costs. To wrap up, here are some resources for further learning. The official documentation is at docs.github.com, Copilot. So it's very comprehensive and it's very up to date, of course. You can check out the GitHub Learning Lab, where you can find many interactive Copilot courses. Very, very useful if you want to learn GitHub Copilot in a quick manner. You can also go to YouTube for GitHub Copilot for beginners videos. There are tons of them, and they will show you most of the stuff we already covered. Community support is available through GitHub discussions and issues or Stack Overflow also with the GitHub Copilot hashtag. To stay updated, you can also follow the GitHub blog and the release notes and also a couple of tags on social media as you see them on the screen. And if you need help, reach out via in-app feedback or other support channels. These resources will definitely keep you informed and supported. So this wraps up the content portion of the session. Thank you for your attention. Since the session is being recorded, we won't have a live Q&A, but I'll be very happy to continue the conversation. If you have any questions or want to discuss something specific to your environment or policies, feel free to reach out to me anytime using the contact details I shared earlier in the slides. And I will now hand over to Paul, our host, for the closing remarks.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Stoyan. I really appreciate you taking the time to not just dedicate in explaining everything about Microsoft technologies, but really helping our communities. So thank you. And obviously having some real life examples always makes it a little bit more tangible for people. And it's really interesting to see GitHub Copilot in action, just how it can really help, you know, write code faster, stay focused, and improve the quality of everyone's work. So awesome job. And yeah, as you said, if there are any questions, feel free to reach out to Stoyan. Feel free to reach out to Saracen, and keep up to date on this channel to see other great presenters talking about Microsoft technologies. So thank you again. Really appreciate everyone's time, and I think that's a wrap.